everybody, my name is Sanya Keerti, and the research topic I chose to research this year is on the nursing shortage. And my research question is, what are the potential causes of the sudden nursing shortage, and what can we do to stop it? So the background of this is that the nursing shortage is a very heavily talked about topic, especially since COVID is rising, the cases are rising in COVID. We need more nurses to add up to the amount of patients we have, and right now it's just like that's just not happening. And with that being said, less nurses would equal higher mortality rates, which is not good because it's so sad hearing about like mortality rates rising and like people dying. So like we want to stop that as much as we can, especially with like we can't really do much with COVID except like get the vaccine. Like this is something that we could like change. Having no nurses on staff lead to the nurses on staff being burnt out quicker, which is something we will also talk about later. The purpose of this research is to show that there is something that we can do as a community to help the nursing shortage, and I conducted some research questions that can help us get thinking about that. So the first one is, what are the potential causes for the nursing shortage? What can we do to prevent burnout and decrease mortality rates? And how can we get more nurses on staff in hospitals around the world? So to answer the first research question, what are the potential causes for the nursing shortage? I have a couple of answers right here. Nurses are retiring at a really early age, earlier than normal, because they're burnt out from having to pick up like all these extra shifts that would be solved by having more nurses on staff. With COVID having such a big effect on our population and on our world, there's an increased need for the level of care that is provided for patients, and with the amount of nurses we have, they are not able to give that level of care, which is leading to a lot of problems. Nursing burnout is also really common with with nursing shortage. It's really like tied together. Some of the reasons for nursing burnout is that the nurses are working very long hours, they're sleep deprived, they're working in a very high stress environment. Like that's like I would be super stressed working in a hospital. Some may not have as much support as others, and the emotional drain of patient care can just cause them to burn out really, really quickly. The second research question is, what can we do to prevent burnout and decrease mortality rates? So we talked about burnout in the last slide, which is what happens when doctors like are working long hours, their stress level is increased. It's not a good thing. So one of the first and the easiest things that nurses can do is to just stop and breathe. And with everything going on in the hospitals, it's really, really easy to get caught up in things and like forget to breathe and forget like everything's okay and to like just be in the moment. It is so hard to do that. So like that's like one of the first steps I feel like every nurse should know is to just stop in the moment and take a deep breath. The second thing you could do is say no to new commitments and delegate where it's possible. So you might really want to do something, but is it going to increase your stress level, which is going to increase the burnout? And delegating is it something that someone below you can do? Like, are you doing stuff that you don't need to be doing as a nurse? Setting boundaries, I feel like, is really important for nurses. So if you're being put on the schedule like every day, like so much, and you don't want to, I feel like setting that boundary with your boss and saying, hey, like I'm working so much, can you give this to like another nurse? That's really something that could like be really important for them. And if things get way too out of control, I feel like nurses need to be taken care of too, so do not be afraid to like seek support from other health organizations, because we need, in order to like have a good interaction with nurses and physicians in the hospital, we need to be taken care of too. So what can we do to get more nurses on staff in hospitals around the world? We can focus on work-life balance and not just the job hours and the job itself, because I feel like when people are pushing people to be nurses, they're looking at the, oh my gosh, I have to go through nursing school, I have to do this, I have to do that, and they're gonna think their whole life is surrounded by just being a nurse, when you can have work-life balance. Like you can be a nurse and you can have a family and you can do many things while being a nurse. I feel like another thing we can do is offer flexible schedules to new nurses. So, yeah, delegate hours, like give up hours that the old nurses are having to do, but also allow them to have a flexible schedule so they don't also burn out. Um, an important topic I feel like is emphasizing workplace safety, because I would not want to work in a place that I would feel unsafe in. So making sure that like, younger people know that like being a nurse, you have full safety and you have people to back you up if you need that. And a really important tool I feel like right now in this generation is utilizing social media. Social media can have such a high impact on everyone. So if you create an aesthetic for people to follow, it becomes like so easy to be drawn into the nursing field. That's how I was kind of drawn into it. I saw this like aesthetic that someone was doing and I was like, oh my gosh, I really want to do that. I really want to be able to help people. And that's how I got into wanting to be a nurse. In conclusion, the nursing shortage is a heavily talked about topic right now, especially with the influx of cases because of COVID. With less nurses working in the ER, it can lead to way more errors, which leads to higher mortality rates and higher morbidity. In hospitals with a higher patient to nurse ratio, nurses are more likely to experience burnout and overexhaustion way quicker than hospitals with a lower patient to nurse ratio. While those nurses are being overworked, it may lead to them making more mistakes, which can also raise the mortality rate, like I said earlier, and can make the patient less likely to want to come into the hospital when an emergency occurs. And so by increasing nursing in hospital, we can improve the experience for the patient, we can lower the mortality rates, and we can increase the overall happiness nurses feel when helping others. So thank you guys for listening to my presentation. I hope you guys have a lot of more information on nursing shortage and why is it a very important topic and why we do need to fix this like right now. Thank you.